Right. So as I was mentioning, the interesting part of any infrastructure is really the community and the libraries and all the infrastructure that has been built around a particular framework. Right. In our case, for the Node.js framework, there's quite a bit of really awesome open source libraries of interest, of which we've only looked at a couple. Right. We've done already. For instance, we installed the create React app command line interface. Remember that? We did npm install -g something or other. We also installed the Angular command line interface. Yes, we did all that using the npm command, right? From the command line, we would type npm, and then we would install a particular library. Yes. Well, there's quite a few more libraries that we're going to be taking a look at, and they are all hosted here at npm.org, npmjs.org, and you can search through here. What are the most popular libraries? In particular, we're going to be looking at Express, at the Express library. Okay, so the Express library is a Node.js library that allows you to very easily, with maybe 2 or 3 lines of code, create a server, right? Create a middle tier application, right? And start hosting content and whatnot. Right? And this is by far one of the most popular libraries that folks install to build a Node.js application. So there's documentation that goes along with this. If you go to expressjs.com, that I encourage you to read through this documentation, only to know what's there, and if you ever need to go back to it. There's 2 versions, I believe, 3. Okay, this one, we're going to be using this latest version, version 4, right? And we're going to be using this to create our servers, our JavaScript servers, so that we can create RESTful APIs and whatnot. Yes, so that we can connect to a database and using Express. Also, the N of Node.js and the E for Express are the 2 letters of the mean stack infrastructure we're going to be using going forward. Right? We already looked at the A in mean stack, which is Angular. Today we'll look at Node and Express, and next week, or maybe towards the end of this week, we'll look at Mongo, the M of the mean stack. Right? So these are 3 technologies: Angular, Node, Express, and Mongo, that work very well together. It's not an infrastructure per se. An infrastructure would require that each one knows about each other and somehow work together. And these are just 3 different independent products that just happen to work very well together, right? If you know what you're doing. So anyway, so let's get started with Express. So in Express, we'll need to install Express. We don't have Express. This is what we have so far: hello.js and package.json. To install Express, we're going to use npm install Express. Okay, and that's going to install the Express library. And one thing that we should also remember to do anytime we are installing a new library, a new module, to always add at the end --save. Right, --save. Right, that's going to make an entry of Express into the package.json file. It's going to declare it as a dependency. It's going to say, hey, this project doesn't work unless you have the Express library installed. Yes, right. This we're going to need that so that if we install this on Heroku is going to say, you need Express. Well, let me download that for you. Right. If you don't list it in your package.json, Heroku won't know that you need that dependency. Right. So we did that. If you notice, if you looked at package.json now, you'll notice that Express has been added as a dependency. See that? Right? There's a new entry in your package.json was added dependencies, and it says that your project depends on Express version 4.17 or higher. Make sense? Right? So when you deploy this on Heroku, Heroku is not going to have Express installed locally, right? What Heroku is going to do is going to do a npm install, just an npm install, right? What npm install does is that it's going to read your package JSON file, it's going to realize that you need Express, and it will download Express for you. But if you don't have it listed as a dependency, it won't download it for you. Make sense? So I'll get a lot of questions on Piazza saying, why does it work locally, but it doesn't work in Heroku? And my answer will always be, did you do a -- save? Right? Open up your package JSON, is Express listed there? Okay? All right, so remember that. Okay. Now that we've installed that, notice that we have an additional directory in there called node_modules. See that? Right? That node_modules contains any local libraries that your project needs. Right? Like, for instance, the Express library. We just download it. It's in there in node_modules. Make sense? Plus, Express depends on a whole bunch of other libraries. So you depend on Express, and Express depends on a whole bunch of other libraries. Right? So what npm does is that it walks the dependency tree, right? And it downloads all the libraries that everybody needs, and it puts them under node_modules. Make sense? Right? When this goes into a Git, right? The node_modules should not go into Git. Right? Everything else, which is source code, should go into Git, but not node_modules. Node_modules just contains compiled libraries. Right? That's not source code. It should not go into Git. Yes? Right? So one of the things we should do is make sure that our Git repository, git init, we're going to initialize a brand new repository. Right? We're going to create a gitigmore file, which is going to tell Git to ignore node_modules. I don't want that in Git. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to say touch.gitignore. So that creates a file, and we're going to edit it. Do I see it here? There it is. I'm going to list here everything that Git should ignore. I'm going to ignore node_modules. I'm also going to ignore this .idea. Right? That's a directory for your IDE. That should also not go in your Git repository. So I'm going to add idea. Notice that if I don't have this, and I ask Git status, is going to look. This is what Git would want to push to GitHub. It wants to put certainly my source code. Hello, my 2 JSON files. Node_modules. It wants to push that, right? And also my .idea, right? It doesn't know. It wants to store everything. But if we put that in gitignore and we do a Git status, notice that it no longer considers node_modules and .idea. It's ignoring it now, right? Now we can put make our first commit, git add everything, git commit first commit. Okay, and now we can push it to GitHub. But you can do that. All right, so we downloaded Express. Let's create our very first Express server.